back to Jungle Gap. So the 14.7 patch just hit. Skarner rework is here, and I've been spamming it, finding out everything there is to know, so you can watch this video and instantly become a Skarner master. The video will be in two parts, the first part being a quick guide on how to clear, what runes to take, itemization, mechanics, champion identity, and other small tips I have found whilst playing Skarner. The second part of the video will be gameplay, where I explain my thought process and give some insight on my initial thoughts about Skarner, and if or when he is OP in the current meta. Okay, so firstly, I want to quickly go over identity and to ask the question, is Skarner for you? If you like playing tank engaged champions like Zac and Rammus, Skarner's identity is very similar. You can choose an early gank, but ideally Skarner wants to have a safe full clear, like any other tank junglers who have a weakness of being invaded early. And in terms of team comps and what role you play, Skarner is a tank engaged champion, so picking him when you need that in your comp is when he is most effective. Picking him if you already have a tank top and a tank support, you may lack damage in your comp. Moving on to runes and itemization. Just as a disclaimer, I understand these are early days. I'm aware things like runes and builds are subject to be optimized or even changed as people figure more things out. Currently, I believe there are two viable options, bruiser and tank. However, I will only be covering the tank build as I believe it's far superior. So for runes, you can either go phase rush or PTA. I'm still deciding which is better, although I'm leaning more towards phase rush. For secondary, you can either switch to free boots and cosmic, although I think the red tree is better as it gives you ingenious hunter, which is going to pair very strongly with the build that we're going for. You can either go green or blue smite. However, I believe green is better because move speed is not that important, as mobility will mainly come from your E. So to quickly cover some itemization, starting items will be either you have 900 gold and you base for CDR boots, or you have 1000 gold and you base for Balmy Cinder. Obviously you take different boots if you need tabbies or mercs for that game. First items will be Iceborne Gauntlet or Sunfire, or both, depending on if you need a lot of armor in that game. Secondary items will be Unending Despair, as it's just an OP tank item and it pairs very strongly with our Ingenious Hunter rune. Or you build Athemis Chains, or both. And lastly, if you need MR, we have Kainic Recurn or Abyssal Mask. And if you need armor, we're going to build Frozen Heart or Randuin's. Obviously, you need to adapt your build during different games, but this is kind of the direction that you're going to want to go in. Okay, so now entering the practice tool part of this video, I'm going to be going over some clears, starting blue, one starting the red side. The first thing you'll need to know is that you want to prep your Q at around 126. You want to prep it on the blue buff. Because his Q is like Ribbon Q, it goes on cooldown as soon as you press it. So you want to be prepping it from camp to camp when you can. And just like any other jungler, you know, we kind of want to clear towards the next camp that we're going towards. One thing to note here is that you don't need to buy a health pot on Skarner. Because we're looking to recall for that 900 or 1000 gold, it's kind of important that we save as much gold as possible, right? We want to try and be really efficient. Skarner can look for level 3 ganks. His level 3 gank is pretty strong, but just like any other tank jungle, he really wants to get his full clear off. Because he is quite prone to getting invaded. So just like any other champion, you know, we want to pull every single camp to the max range limit. You know, this is when you'd be looking for a gank or something, level 3. And then if there's no gank, you know, you're going to prep your Q here, take E, and you're going to run through this wall to the raptors. Make sure you hit the raptor, the big one, because it lowers the cooldown of your E. And on this camp, you know, we're going to really maximize dragging it to the max distance, prepping the Q for the next camp. And then by the time we kill this red buff, we can actually save smite here because our E is coming up. And by the time our E comes up, we'll smite the last camp. Probably not you know, haven't done that many Skarner clears yet, so it probably still can be optimized a little bit. But I kind of just want to show you the main thing. So yeah, finishing the clear here at, you know, 125. This is a good time to, you know, look for a bot gank here, or you just play for the crab. So yeah, we'll go on to the red side clear now. Okay, so now I'm going to take you through my favorite clear as Skarner. It is a Raptor start. Just like any other tank jungle, you really want to start the Raptors as this cycles... it cycles your Raptors and your Krugs to give you a better buy. So, you know, after we do a full clear, we're actually going to come straight back to the Raptors. So we can get that, you know, Balmy Cinder buy. That's what we're really looking forward to. This clear can be a little bit, you know, tricky. You might have to go onto a practice tool and try it a few times and copy exactly what I do. I'm going to try and explain my thought process as much as I can. But just copy exactly what I do, practice it. Once you do it, you'll be able to basically do this every single game. And yeah, I'll try and explain my thought process as much as I can as I do it. Right here, we're not going to smite the Krug. We're going to save it for the red buff. We're also waiting for our E cooldown because we're going to instantly run over to the red. Just like this. And then while you're on this red buff, you know, considering... Let's just say I was in an actual game. Right here, I would be looking at lanes. I would be thinking, can I level 3 gank anywhere? If so, I would pop my pot and then instantly look to gank. But for the sake of this video and the full clear, you know, I'm just going to pretend that, you know, we're going for the full clear, which you can do every game. You don't have to feel pressured to gank. Taking 2 points Q here. And as soon as our Q comes back up, we're going to prep the Q. And instantly press E. Making sure to always stun them into a wall, just like the Krugs here. You want to get the wall stunned because the cooldown actually gets reduced as if you actually stun them. Okay, so here we're going to use the last Q here. I think this could be optimized a little better. You know, I haven't completely optimized this clear. And we're actually going to, again, save our smite on the blue buff because we want to use our next E to actually push the blue into this wall. So we're going to get it right on the edge here. And as soon as it gets kind of in that range of dying, push it into this wall, finish it off. And we're going to use the smite on the Grump. And you can see already this clear is quite quick considering the fact that we solo started. And we're basically going to be right on time for the crab here. Prep this, take our W now, E over the wall, and try and get the stun here. And we get the stun. And, you know, if you practice this clear, like I said, you can basically do this every single game. It's a really insane start for any tank jungle. You know, in this spare time while we're waiting, while we're waiting for the Raptors to spawn, you know, you can drop some vision. You know, you can come over here, try and gank mid. Cross, you know, we're trying to gank mid. You know, we get a flash, we get a kill, whatever it is. But basically, we want to be right back on these Raptors as they spawn. As soon as they spawn, you know, we're going to kill them for a second time. And the main point of this is now that you see we have 900 gold. And we're trying to look for, you know, the best start possible as a tank. So if we can get this off every game, you know, we're very happy. Because, you know, the biggest weakness of a tank jungle is kind of just getting invaded early. And this path is very strong versus that. So now we're thinking, if this was a real game, what are we doing next? So what is spawning at 5 minutes? It's the grubs, right? And this is a perfect buy now. We can buy tier 2 boots, you know, if we really wanted. If we're versing heavy AD, we could buy tabbies. But for the sake of this, we're just going to show going barmies, you know, buy a pink ward. You don't really need that health pot, right? You only really need the health pot if you're thinking that you're going to get invaded. And I'm going to show the rest of this kind of clip. Obviously, what's next is just, if you want to play for grubs, you can. You know, this is a time where you could gank top as we wait for our top side camps. But just for the sake, I'm going to show how Skarner, you know, very good at taking the grubs for your XP. Make sure to pull them back. Get the AoE going. And yeah, super strong. Now you have barmies. Just an insane start for Skarner. And you can do this every game. You just have to make sure that your top side doesn't get invaded or you don't get invaded somewhere. So maybe dropping a ward, you know, when you start the Raptors here, dropping a ward maybe right here is very good. So now you can see top side camps are spawning and we're going to want to use this E all the time to go over walls. And this is how the clear speed, as you can see, you know, as a tank, this is very, very quick. And it's just because of this E ability, right? And look how fast level 6 we are going to be this game. You know, we're level 6 at basically 6 minutes, which is just insane. Okay, the next thing we're going to be doing in this practice tool for this part of this video is I want to just show you some, you know, some tips that I have experienced while playing, you know, a couple of games of Skarner. The first being that the E may take some getting used to, but it's a very, very strong tool for not only engaging, you know, coming in at different angles. And I really, really suggest you kind of just hop into a practice tool and kind of just get used to how it works, because sometimes I experienced when I was playing is, you know, sometimes it would clip and sometimes it wouldn't, right? So you need to get used to the hitbox, right? As you can see there, it clipped the first time it didn't. And you need to also get used to how much range you need to stun, right? And how quickly you can also turn to get, you know, the wall stuns. I'm going to be going over some combos now. So, you know, the combo that you can really do is it's E into ult, because the E stun duration is 1.5 seconds and the ult channel time is 1.5, right? So what you can literally do is wall stun people, ult instantly, and they can't move, flash, use any abilities, right? So this is a very simple combo that we definitely need to know. We need to know that E into ult straight away. The next thing that we need to know is there's a kind of, so you can't E flash right now, you know, spamming flash right now. You can't flash. But flash E is a combo that you can do, right? So you can literally walk up to someone, flash E them, and then ult, right? So this is a very quick combo, very hard to react to if you just do it very quickly. Instantly ult. Very nice combo. And as I said in the clearing part of the video, you always want to activate your E before Q, right? As I said, it goes off cooldown. You want to land and start whacking people, right? So a combo that you can do if you were ganking is Q, E, whack them, press W, whack them again, and kind of chase them down. And that's where the phase rush comes in as well. It comes in when, you know, you proc it here and you start like chasing them down this way. And, you know, lastly, obviously in situations maybe like this when they're, you know, coming over to Baron, using your ult like this is very, very OP. Okay, so different situations for your ult. When you get into a practice tool, make sure, you know, as an example, you know, say I'm doing Dragon here. There are areas where using your E is very, very important. You know, using it to get to these little spots where you can, you know, barely, because this will clear your, you know, your tempo. Everything will be much faster, and you really need to know these kinds of things to be kind of a Skarner expert. And lastly, skill order. You know, you want to max your Q. And then for the reasons I've just stated about how important the E is, you want to max E second just to lower its cooldown so you can be a bit more mobile when getting around the map. Very, very important ability. What's up everyone, I'm Coach Leo, also known as Babip. I've been a professional jungler for the past 6 years, played at Worlds 4 times, and have plenty of coaching experience. If you're interested in fast-tracking your learning and achieving your desired rank, book a private coaching session or join the community by heading over to the Jungle Gap Discord, which will be in the description below. Now starting the gameplay portion of this video. You know, I have been playing a bit of Skarner on its release. And this isn't going to be like one of my usual videos, you know, when I'm talking about fundamentals and things like that. This is going to be purely, you know, Skarner focused. You know, we can see my good moments and some of my, you know, not so good moments. But this is going to be more of like, you know, an entertainment game. I'm just going to run you through kind of like my thoughts, what I'm thinking as the champion, and so, just so you can get kind of, you know, an experience of how this champion, you know, kind of plays out. I picked this game in particular because it was a very long game. And I'll try not to skip back and forth too much. So I'll just play in fast instead. I know it gives some of you guys a headache. So I'll just play on 3 times speed. The team already is flaming. Server, by the way. That's how I was able to play before everyone else. And so this game I decided to, you know, still wasn't really familiar with the Raptor clear, which I should have definitely... Actually, no, I probably shouldn't have done it this game because, you know, I have a Malphite, don't really care about the grubs, but the Raptor path is something that you can probably do every single game. Looks like I've just decided to, you know, to take a full clear to the bot side. My clear was pretty decent, I guess, you know, finishing at around, you know, 315, 320. It's pretty good. And I think I remember here that, you know, something happened spot. And this is the first showcase of, you know, the power of this pick. Sitting here waiting for Evelyn. And this is the showcase of how strong this is. You know, this guy gets stunned for 2 seconds. Flashing to follow. Not the greatest flash, but I guess I force his flash. And I believe, you know, we're playing for the Scuttle Crab. Speed it up a little bit. I was looking for the Evelyn there. Didn't miss my E on the crab. And we take a base. In this game, I did build Ionia boots first, which I thought was good this game because I didn't really need. Actually, no, Mercs was definitely better this game. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trolling by building Ionia boots this game because they have Annie and Thresh and Evelyn. So trolling my items a little bit. And yeah, very, very strong at doing the grubs. I see Evelyn. I try and speed out of there, but I end up getting cancelled. I see there's still kind of a fight going on, so coming back in, but ends up being nothing. So you can't really buffer the E, as you just saw there. I'm going to skip backwards. You cannot buffer the E, right? So right here, when Evelyn goes to charm me, you know, you need to be able to make sure that you're actually out of the range because CC is very strong versus his E. You know, any CC just cancels it, so something to remember. Back on them, end up getting the grubs. Pretty useless this game, I know. I'm failing at all of my, but you know, we take them if they're free, right? Little gank here. Something to note on this gank, just going back. You kind of want to make sure you hit your E and not just use it as a gap. Because once you go in, you know, it's very hard to kind of get out. So being careful with your E's, as you'll see this game, is something that's actually quite important. Noticing here that I'm kind of running in a straight line. You never want to run in left or right when you're already outranged the Thresh Q. Just something small to note. And then we're back to full clearing. Gonna speed up the clears, wait for the action to happen. And then when action comes, I'm gonna just slow the game down. Yeah, and missing your E because the cooldown doesn't reset is actually really big because it's your main kind of tool to get around the map. We find a base here. And I think, you know, we're playing full tank this game with Phase Rush. And although, you know, this is also a great game. I won't talk about fundamentals too much, but this is a great game to watch for, you know, with a lot of the players that I coach, I talk about staying composed in a game where your entire team is kind of trolling and all chatting. You know, I just mute it, I press mute all, and I just play my game. Make sure you're in E range to cut them off and then, you know, slow them down. Chase them with the phase rush. He actually has got very strong early dueling and skirmishing. Like his base stats, just like any other tank, are actually, you know, make him very good at skirmishing and dueling. You know, make sure we get the kill. I think we get really fed this game actually, which is kind of funny. Right here, looking at the bot gank. Demonstrating some of the, you know, the ulti here. Very, very powerful tool. Unfortunately, didn't get the stun here, but, you know, I'm able to still get both of them with the ult. Unfortunately, my bot lane is kind of giga useless, but, you know, we end up getting very fed here. Remember to use the rock toss, you know, to get those kind of kills. Again here, you know, we use the rock toss, the Q toss, and, you know, it actually does a fair bit of damage there, so pretty good. Pretty fed in this game. We got some kills. Have a lot of CS. You know, as soon as my Malphite has ult, I'm kind of looking to go top. But I see an Evelyn here. Let's go back. Your E will also get blocked, as you can see, by other big monsters. I think it gets hit by any kind of minion. Even minions it gets hit by, I think. But I'll need to confirm that. Maybe it's just big monsters. I'm not 100% sure. I guess we'll find out right here. No, we don't. And you know, Skarner was actually a very, very enjoyable. I'm definitely going to play it more. I think it would be better at low elo and worse at higher ranks. You know, anything below diamond though, I think this champion is actually going to be very strong. As you can see here, is going to be one of my fails. Q, the throwing of the Q gets blocked by minions as well, and you need to just kind of be really careful when using your E because CC will just cancel it. So, you know, Eing into a Thresh, not the greatest idea, to say the least. What you can basically do is run up to people, smite them, and actually just ult them, because the ult range is kind of deceiving a little bit. So, you know, pairing your ult with W, smite, is a good way to just kind of land the ult. Usually you want to land E then ult, but if you can just walk up, smite them, you know, they have no flash, they're kind of immobile, you can definitely use it like that. And yeah, here another example of, you know, you need to be careful when you use your E, because if you're just running into people like I'm doing here, completely inting it, you have no escape once you go in. If you go in, you get CC'd. You really have to be careful of that. So I would say that's a major part of Skarner, is your E is very, very important. It's a very important ability. You need to use it well. And yeah, using your E like this as well, not the best, because again, you need to kind of come from the side angle to cut people off. And the way the Skarner E works is that it's kind of like Kane E, where you know, the enemy team can see you through a wall. So definitely better than coming front on though. You know, I'm kind of constantly looking to turn here with my E to try and get a stun ult. And Jace TPs. It ends up being a bad fight because they have Jace TP and we have no Malphite TP. So that was a bad dragon. But yeah, stay composed, right? So once your Nilah dies, you know, stay composed. The game is still always winnable. You know, even when your Senna dies, I'm kind of just staying composed here. I'm waiting for my Nilah. Nilah. So as I wait for her, I'm looking to go over this wall. And I think I know that Thresh is low here. So, and again, see that range on his ult is quite deceiving. So if they are immobile or don't have flash, it's kind of easy to land. Let me pick up some kills. Piling out now. This is a fairly long game, so you know, I will just be skipping to kind of the action parts of it. As I said, using your E takes some getting used to. It's kind of like Nunu Snowball. But you know, once you get used to it, don't think it's too difficult. Have some downtime. Still looking at the fight mid, but it looks like there's nothing. And Skarner's clear mid game is actually quite good. You know, he does a lot of damage in the mid game, and he's quite mobile with your E. So, looking at the Jace here, I think he may have a ward or something, playing very safe. Weirdly, seeing an Evelyn again, and his dueling against squishies is also very, very good. Obviously, I have quite a bit of a item advantage there, but. So I think nothing really happens for a while. I want to skip to some action. Farming. Grouping here with our Malphite. So I learned from my previous mistakes. I don't just want to keep E-ing in randomly. Let's see how, you know, I really want to look at how some fights play out. So I'm looking at the Evelyn here. And you can see why this champion would be better at lower elo, just for the main fact that, you know, as players get better, his E is kind of a noob ability. It's a bit basic. It's very easy to kind of avoid if you have like mobility or CC. But in low elo, you know, low elo players probably not play against it very well. So, and like the old Skarner, you know, you really want to, when your ult's up, you really want to try and make picks with it. Try and get as active as possible. You know, as soon as your ult's up, you should be trying to get very active. Trying to fight the dragon. Again, stay composed. My Malphite's AFK. Back to doing some farming. You know, if your Malphite's just sitting in spawn AFK, then we just don't want to die at the dragon, because there will be more opportunities to win the game later, which you will see. Like this fight, for example. Okay. E again, very, very poor E. But I think, honestly, the Skarner ult is kind of game-breaking. I think it's super, super OP. I think that's his best kind of... best thing in his kit, for sure, is the ult. Evelyn flashes in front, wants to die. Not sure what that was about. And you see, more opportunities come. So we're always staying composed in games like these, even when our team trolls or whatever it is, Malphite AFK. I've heard it all, trust me. Stay composed. There will always be more opportunities. And I would not suggest picking Skarner into these kind of champions. It's extremely hard for me to play this game against Annie and Thresh. As you will see later on in the game, I remember dying quite a lot just because they can stun into hook. And this game, even though I was extremely tanky, just like any tank, you still can die in the late game. People start building armor pen. Here I'm trying to command my team to do what I want, which is to group, because our team, that's all we can do. We can't really split. Split push Malphite doesn't really work too well. And I think here this is a good indication of... I don't know if this was a good indication of my champ being good or bad. Okay. No, it was nothing. Very one-dimensional is how I would describe Skarner. And I think kind of trolling it a bit here. You know, late game, you don't really do damage, right? So you always want to be thinking about, if you can ult, your team needs to be able to follow up. So don't kind of just run in and ult the back lane. You definitely need to... If you land an ult, your team needs to be able to follow up. You're not an assassin. What I did there was kind of troll. You need to be playing for your team. Engage, bring them into your team, and then your job is done. And I think we will see that in a later fight. I think we do have a good ult. Telling my team here, like, after my mistake, that they actually have multiple, you know, sources of damage, so we can't just focus the Jinx down. Maybe it's this fight where I land a good ult. I think it's one fight where I land a good ult, but I'm not exactly sure where it is. Again, you know, this champion is very good versus champions, squishy champions that you can kind of one-shot in ult, especially versus Evelyn, who gets, you know, suppressed for too long and then she can't ult away. Ends up being a bad fight. They get another dragon. We're still staying composed. We're not trying to do anything crazy. Opportunities will present themselves. I definitely even learned just from this game not to be too crazy with the E, because, yeah, it's very easy to die. No way out. Again, trying to make a plan for my team to group in the top side. Split push Karma, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I know there's a good ult soon that happens, which I really want to show. Could be here. Don't think so though. Yeah, not the best ult, but we combo it. And this is really the power of Skarner in these kind of situations where you're kind of living in the enemy jungle, looking for picks. He's super, super strong at that. Because you can just go over terrain and just instantly, you know, be on someone. Here I found out that you can cancel his E just by pressing it again. We end up getting the Baron. And we're grouping again. Remember here, I'm really using my pings to make sure I get my team on the same page. Doesn't end up working. Doesn't always work. They end up dying mid. Still being patient. I think we look for a sneaky Jace kill here. And that stun range is actually quite long there, as you could see. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. This is kind of troll, but I end up getting Jinx Flash. And then I end up trolling. So this is where you have to be really careful about picking this champion. You know, if they just have, you know, an Annie stun into a Thresh hook, you're in for some trouble. Because you really don't have an escape. Once you're in with E, you're kind of in. And that's why I think going the tank build is actually quite important, because you do need to be tanky. I did try the Bruiser build. It felt kind of useless, I'm not going to lie. Okay, next dragon fight. Team is trolling again. I mean, what's new? Malphite. Autofill Malphite players. My Malphite decides he needs some more farm to win this game. So we're just going to wait for him. Wait for him to get this one wave, because this will change this will make the difference in the game, you know. And this is what I'm talking about. This ult is super, super strong, especially when they're coming into you. And again, I troll here again because once you get CC'd by one ability, you kind of just get chain CC'd. So you, again, I can't say this enough. When you play Skarner, you really have to be careful not to int with your E. You know, especially when I didn't have ult there. That was a really, really bad play. Looking to pick people in the side lane. Also something that you really want to be looking to do with Skarner. Jace is not escaping. More fights here. Okay, I think this is one of my big ults here. Okay, I guess not. Not really. And just like in those fights before, this is really where like Skarner shines, when you're just, you know, chasing them around in their jungle, forcing fights. He's really, really strong at doing that. We end up not being able to end. We take the Baron. I think disaster strikes after this. I think we actually end up losing this game. Again, I think I'm actually the one who loses us the game. And it just comes down to my mechanics. I try and get the wall stun here. Because I didn't get the wall stun, he ends up ulting away, and then I think we end up getting caught. Trying to peel him, but he's not too aware. And now we just need to try and get out again. Once you're in, you're kind of, it's very hard to escape, especially versus these champions. We lose the fight. They end up breaking our base. Senna's doing something in their base. This game is kind of a banger towards the end. We pick up the Thresh kill. Both Nexus are now exposed. You can see how this one ends. I'm really scared of Evelynn here, so my team is going for the end. But I kind of knew that Evelynn could backdoor here. That's essentially why I based back here. You know, I think anyone would probably run to the enemy Nexus, but I kind of had a hint that he could be here somewhere. I think somehow I actually avoid him. I think he ran through the bot side. Yeah, so somehow me and Karma avoid him. This was like super unfortunate. And yeah, he ends up ending the game. Very sad. Close game. I end up missing my ult here as well, which was very sad. With that, that's going to conclude my rework Skarner quick guide. I hope you enjoyed and you were able to take some things and, you know, take Skarner onto the Rift with all this newfound knowledge. I think my final thoughts on Skarner is that, you know, for high elo, as many other tanks, not very good, pretty basic kits, kind of one-dimensional, countered by a lot of things, really kind of comp dependent. But for anything under diamond, if you like champions like Rammus, if you like champions like Zac, Skarner is for you.